I'm Zach.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is a Couple Games YouTube channel.
In this video, we cannot wait to share with you our favorite party games. So these are the games that we play when we're with a group of more than 4. Anywhere up to like 11 or 12, I think is the max on some of these, or they may go beyond that. But we have 6 games that we can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, so get right into it. First one on my list over here is High Society. Now, this is one we've talked about like on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. But this one it's a very simple bidding game.
Like auction
where you're trying to buy the stuff that's worth the most points, but the catch is if you spend the most money in the game, then you can't win. That's just it. So you're trying to buy the coolest stuff, but you can't spend all your money.
You only get 25,000? No, it's more than that. That's just one of the cards.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of money to start. Everybody has the same amount to start. But what's interesting is you cannot pay in intervals of your money. So I guess I should give like a better example.
You can't make change.
That makes more sense.
You can't make change. So like you have like a 1,000, a 3,000, 5, 10, 20,000. And so you have to make those work for whatever you're trying to buy. And
yeah, even if you're going to have to bid like 10,000 more than the person before you, if that's like all you have or all that works for you, you're not going to get any change back if you only wanted to bid 2,000 over. So your money can go really, really quickly in this game if you're not careful. There's also cards in this game that are power up and power down. So there's like positive cards to get that help increase your points faster. But then there's also points that are cards that like half your points or are negative points that you end up having to pay money not to take one of those cards.
Yeah. And that one, it's whoever doesn't bid or bids the lowest, they take the negative card and everybody else has to pay. So, but that's High Society.
Yes, so this game is really small too, so it packs well if you're like, wanting to take it out of town or something for, sort of group event or family. We've definitely brought this with us on a handful of our trips, and people seem to really like it. It comes with 16 cards.
Yeah, so the only downside is this one is on the lower end of like the player count. Like I think it caps out at 5 or 6.
We always play with the oversized cards. So they have this cool kind of like Victorian theme, would you say, kind of to it. So yeah, and then you've got your money cards, right? So those are like the francs.
Yeah.
And that's really all of it.
Yeah. So High Society, pretty cool.
Quick, fun card auction style game that it definitely gets competitive too. I would say there's a lot of tug and pulls when everyone plays this together.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to do the next one?
Yes. So the next one is pretty popular, even with people that may not be as familiar with board games, but it's Codenames, and we have been playing this game for probably 10 years or more.
Yeah,
I would say.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
This was one of the very, very first party games that we started playing with and even introduced some of our friends to. In Codenames, you're on 2 different teams, and so this is why it's better when you have more people. While you can play it it says 2.
You could play it at 2, but really you probably want a minimum of 4. That way you have 2 people versus 2 people.
Really like 6.
Yeah.
Especially even numbers when you have a smaller group. But then once you get more and more, it can be fine if there's like 5 on a team and 4 on a team. That's really not going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
So in Codenames, you obviously have a blue team and a red team, and you have cards that are laid out in front of you in a grid, as you can see, and they have words on them. Each team has a clue giver and has a chance to take their turn deciding who that is. The clue giver is responsible for trying to get their own team to guess their indicated words to get the points to win.
Yeah.
However, they can only say one word at a time and one number.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So it's one clue and then how many words on the grid does that clue go with or are associated with? And like Michelle said, there's a preload with the grid. The code givers, the clue givers, they have a little card that's showing them what's a red card, what's a blue card. Everybody else doesn't know. They have no idea what's what. And tying the clues and trying not to get your team to pick the opposite team's words, because if I'm blue team and my team touches a red word, then red scores a point, even though blue picked it. Yeah.
So this is a really fun game for a group of people. We also have the Disney version and the After Dark versions, like depending on who you're playing with. There's different types that have just different types of words. The Disney one is really great because it has pictures. So if you're playing with kids that may not necessarily like know how to read, then they can still play and participate and like have fun with it. Try to think.
Oh, and there's one little spicy number with the game is there's one word or in the grid that is the death word or whatever. If whoever team picks it, automatically loses.
Yes.
So it adds a little, and I think in the kid game they don't use it. I could be wrong. In Disney, there's like a kids family version, and there's like a non-family version, and so makes it a little more friendlier that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really key part that we forgot to say in the first full description. Yes, you definitely have to stay away from a description that might get your team to say that black card word that would end your teams.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We've also played Harry Potter Codenames, and I know there is a duet Codenames 2 that truly is for 2-player.
Mm-hmm.
So this could technically play at other tiers too of like other numbers of players. We just think it plays really good as a party game, and it's always a lot of fun for people who play board games or who don't regularly.
So I think it's a staple. Codenames.
Yeah, I would say that, like, if you have 10 board games in your house or 5 and you don't play board games regularly, you should have Codenames.
Yeah.
Just as like, you have
7
family over for whatever or friends. It's just a great little game to pull out and play.
Yeah. All right, so that was Codenames. The next one I have over here is Bang the Dice Game. And it's actually in the expansion box, the old saloon. The original box is a little bigger, but everything fits in the expansion box, and so it's easier to carry. So that's why I have the old saloon here. But in Bang the Dice Game, you have a sheriff, outlaws, and a renegade. And so there's 3 teams, so to speak. The sheriff is trying to wipe out the outlaws and the renegade. The outlaws are trying to take out the sheriff, and if there's a large enough players, the sheriff can have deputies, so they're trying to take out the sheriff and the deputies, and the renegade wants to take out the outlaws first, and then the sheriff. But, you kind of have to play that balancing thing, because if the sheriff gets taken out, you automatically lose because the outlaws will win, and so it's a nice little... The renegade's on both sides, kind of.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a social deduction game, kind of with a twist.
Yeah, but there is a non-dice version. I like the dice version because it's a little bit faster. And so with social deduction games, I think the faster they are, they tend to be a little bit better. And it has a Yahtzee-style mechanic where you roll some dice, you set some aside that you don't want to re-roll, and you roll them again. There's... little dynamites on dice, and they lock. So if you roll a dynamite, you can't re-roll that, and if you roll 3, then you blow up and you lose some health. So what's also neat is there are characters, and all the characters have different abilities, so it adds a little bit there. But if you could probably play it without the abilities, and it would still be a fun little game. So
you could always start without the abilities and then add them in after you played if you want that extra little layer. It's a really slight little ability that it adds. Yeah,
so every group we've played this with, they're like, it takes like a round to kind of get into. Then afterwards, they're like, hey, let's play it again. Let's play it again. Or they're like, oh, I ordered a copy.
Mm-hmm. And the rounds go quick, so it's easy to do that.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Bang the Dice Game.
Bang the Dice Game. Okay. So I'm going next with another word association game. I really like these types of games for parties, groups. Just I don't know. I feel like even if someone doesn't play board games a lot, they can like connect words together, and so it's an easy game, easy kind of bundle of games that brings people together. So Clover, into this one. All right. So in Clover, every individual person has their own Clover and 4 different word cards. Now, they are going to be placing their word cards because they're like squares, and so you can rotate them however you want on the Clover. But what you're trying to do is come up with another word that associates the 2 words on your Clover. So, like if you had green and clover, right? You might put grass, right? Because people will be like, oh, there's 2 green things and grass is green. That, okay, this has to be where it goes. So we'll kind of get into that. But you're basically giving a whole bunch of clues on the 4 clovers related to how you've arranged your cards. And everybody does this individually. So everyone's doing something right away in this game, which I think is cool. Then everybody takes turns going around and trying to place the white cards correctly for that person that did it. Does that make sense? I'm butchering this, I'm sorry. But it gives everybody a chance to go around and see, did I come up with good clue words? Were they able to like put the puzzle back together? Because all these 4 white cards that you see, you're going to take them off like completely. And your whole group that you're playing with is going to try to arrange them back based on the clues that you wrote on the 4 clovers.
And a little twist into it is a card or one of those little square cards gets added into the ones you were working with. So they're working with 1 extra card that you didn't see and, you didn't work with. So they could be like, oh, grass, clover, green, or she wrote green right here, so maybe clover goes there, but there's also this evergreen, and they're
tree,
or tree, or so, so that could go there and throws them off. And then whenever you place the stuff, you hand it to the person, they take off anything that's wrong. So anything that's not in the exact spot it was, they remove and then just pass it back.
You can't say anything.
Yeah, and you only get 2 shots. So 1, and then they remove, and then,
Yes. So this reminds us of Just One.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cooperative game. You're working together. You want each other to guess. It's very laid back, chill. It's not like super cutthroat at all. So this is definitely just one of those like chill party games that still makes you like think a little bit. Again, if you've played Just One, it's similar to that one, and maybe we'll touch on that one at the end because that's a honorable mention party game as well. So that's Clover.
Yep. Now the next one on my list is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. And this is, again, an expansion box because the expansion box, they built it so it'll fit all the things with the expansion stuff in it. But in Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, it's another secret role game. So you have one person who is the forensic scientist, you have a murderer, you have investigators, and you probably have a witness in there. Accomplice, if you have enough people and things like that. But basically everybody has these blue and red cards, which are clues and means of murder. Yeah, evidence. And then you have the forensic scientist who knows who the murderer is, knows who everybody is. The murderer picks a blue card and a red card in front of them. So a key piece of evidence and a clue that's in front of them. Everybody has these cards out in front of them. Everybody has 4 blues, 4 reds. And so they choose secretly these 2 items. The forensic scientist sees them do this, and then the forensic scientist is silently giving clues using these, it's over there, like how did the victim die type deal. And you're trying to give these clues that will point people to the correct person. But not only that, you actually have to point them to those clues
to the weapon,
too.
Yeah.
Because if Michelle's the murderer and they're like, okay, I think it's, this card and this card in front of Michelle, if they get either of those cards wrong, the forensic scientist just says, no, you're wrong. And so, and everybody only has, each person at the table has one guess to guess who the murderer is. And so, and there's 3 rounds, and it's a lot of fun. This one I like over other social deduction games is because of the forensic scientists giving out the pieces of information. There's stuff to go off of. So in stuff like Secret Hitler or Resistance or Werewolf, things like that, there's not a lot of information to go off in the first round. You know, you kind of have to see a couple rounds go, and then you're like, you kind of get a pattern of how things. This one you can go right off the bat. They're like, they died from blood loss, so it can't be those weapons. It can't be that. Why did they say it was raining? You know,
it's almost like Clue meets a social deduction game that you're actually more you're more involved in. I don't know. You get way more passionate in this game than you ever would in Clue.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to just the social deduction part of this game because, yes, the forensic scientist knows, but the accomplice also knows who the murderer is. And then obviously, you know, the murderer and the accomplice are going to be trying to say things that are going to throw off your investigators and your other people.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like push and pull and like who's telling the truth, who's who. And so it can get really, really fun.
Yeah. And there's also a witness role where the witness knows who the murderer, well, they know who's on the bad team.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. They don't know weapons. If there's an accomplice, they don't know which one's the murderer, which one's the accomplice. And so, yeah, it's really cool.
And they can't give themselves away because if the murderer guesses who the witness is in the group, then the good team automatically loses.
Right.
So if you're the witness, you have to be very discreet, but also like helpful at the same time so that you can hopefully get the good team to win.
Yeah. So that's Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Yes. Okay, we are on to one of our last ones before we do a few honorable mentions. Okay, so this game is called Hues and Cues. And this is really a new game to our collection.
Yeah.
Like a month or two. And we have played it a couple times now with family and friends. And it's a lot of fun. We have some good things to say about it. So in this game, there's a massive board of colors. It looks like you are at like Home Depot, like in the paint aisle. So what you're doing in this game, it's very similar as each person's going to have a chance to go around and give some clues. So it has like a similar component as a lot of our other party games do. The clues are going to be based off of a card. So each person will draw a card. On that card, there are 4 color options. And your job as the clue giver is to say one word that's going to help the whole group think of like where your color is on the board. So if you were trying to think of a blue, you might be like, okay, ocean, right? So then everyone's going to place their marker where they think ocean is in the blue section of the board. And then you're going to have the opportunity, if you would like, you don't have to, but then the cue giver can give another round of clues, but they can only say 2 words. Up to 2 words. Or they can choose to pass if they just did really good on the first round. And then after they've given their second clue, their 2 words, everyone's going to place again. So you're going to have 2 markers and you'll place where you think that color is based on their hint. And then you're going to get the scoreboard. So the way that it's a square. You can see it in the middle of the board. The way that it works is that anybody's marker in the game that's inside of that box, the cue giver gets points. So that's why you're wanting to give good clues. So they're going to get a certain amount of points for however many markers are inside of the square. And then each person that was close will also get points based on that. I think it's like 1 point if you're outside, 2 if you're inside the square, and then 3 if you're spot on. And the point tracker is up here at the top, so you can always see who's in the lead. It's never you're never unsure. You always know who's in the lead.
Yeah. So
now you cannot say any colors in this game, right? So you can never use colors to describe what you're doing.
Yeah. You can't use like your traditional like blue, green, yellow, red, but they say like you can use those obscure ones like chartreuse and teal and
lavender. They say those are fine. And then you're also not allowed to say anything that's like lighter or darker.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come up with other words that are going to hopefully associate with lighter or darker of that color variation. So it's interesting. It's cool to see like how you think you see color compared to how other people see it. Sometimes you'll like give a hint and you're like, I really thought that was good. And then you realize no one is anywhere near where you thought it was. So it's fun. I definitely think there's not a huge... The replayability is a little bit rough. Do you think we're going to get a little tired of it?
I mean, eventually. I think all these, we play them so much. Even the Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. I remember we played that one to where we had seen like all the cards like multiple times. And there's so many cards in that other game. And we were like, okay, we need a break from this game. And that's how it is, when you get together with family, you travel, and you play the same game over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. So I think it'll just be one that will eventually need like a break and then come back and be great.
Yeah, because you played this one like 3 weekends in a row, and so you're probably feeling that,
Yeah, but it's also different with every group you play with too. It's like a whole new ballgame with the group of people that you're with. Yeah. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Like we were playing with, with LSU fans, we're like Tigers. Oh, they're gonna think it's purple. But like anyone else, maybe like what, So it definitely like you can. It's similar. It reminds me of like Apples to Apples growing up because it like just depended on the group you were with.
Yeah, that's true.
As far as like how it was going to go.
Yeah. So
it's fun. It's good with the group. It's very like chill and laid back, which we typically like for that party game kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
It is really pretty. But you mentioned some honorable mentions. I think I talked a little bit about Secret Hitler. That's another social deduction game that's fun. Resistance is similar to where you're trying to send people on a mission, and then there's traitors at the group, and so they might tank the mission. So you got to figure out who did what.
I have one.
Okay, what you got?
Werewords
is a good one. Yeah.
Yes, I think we almost should have.
Yeah, we probably should have grabbed that one, but it's another word one. Werewords is basically 20 questions meets werewolf. It has like a nice companion app that gives you a word. One person's I think the mayor is what they call it, which is like the clue giver. Yeah. And basically people are asking 20 questions to figure out what the word is. And then there's one person who's the werewolf who also knows the word, but they are trying to
distract.
Yeah, they're trying to distract. That's a good word for it. And a neat twist is the werewolf can actually be the mayor in the game. So the werewolf can be the distractor, and there's, if the group picks up, like, they're not making any sense, we think they're the werewolf. Mm-hmm. And it plays really fast. Like, I think each round's like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, like, there's a timer. Yeah, you have to, like, stay on track with the timer. There's, like, a phone app that goes with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, some that aren't social deduction or word association, I think Sushi Go Party. Yeah. Because that one can play up to, I think, 8, but it's basically like you have a hand of cards, you take one, you pass, you're trying to build the best sushi plate. And so, yeah. You got any others?
No, that's it.
Yeah. So, but
we are excited we got to talk about our favorite party games in this video, and we will keep trying to think of more, categories and just games that we play and how we group them and play together and talk about those. So let us know in the comments what your favorite party games are, because I'm sure we missed some great ones, and we will be back soon.
All right. Until next time, I'm Zach.
And I'm Michelle.
And this has been A Couple Games.